Hello, I'm Edward. Emerging from the tumult of the American Civil War, the James Younger Gang etched their names into the annals of criminal history. This notorious band of outlaws, led by brothers Jesse and Frank James, alongside Cole, Jim, John, and Bob Younger, staged daring robberies that both horrified and fascinated the public. In this exploration, we delve into the lives and exploits of these Civil War guerrillas turned infamous outlaws, shedding light on their violent actions and the forces that drove them.
Welcome to our channel, Hushed Histories, revealing the secrets of bygone eras. Fact 1. Inception during conflict.
The James Younger Gang, formed amidst the tumult of the Civil War, was comprised of individuals hardened by the ferocious border wars between Missouri and Kansas. Among them were Frank and Jesse James, and the Younger brothers, Cole, Jim, John, and Bob. Being from Missouri, a state divided in its loyalties, they found themselves amidst constant conflict, their families being Confederate sympathizers in a Union-controlled state. Their wartime experiences, which involved guerrilla warfare under the notorious Bloody Bill Anderson, instilled in them ruthless combat tactics and a deep-seated resentment towards the Union cause. The end of the war, instead of bringing peace, gave rise to a new battle for these men, one against the emerging modern economy that threatened their way of life. This intersection of personal, political, and economic strife became the crucible for the formation of one of America's most notorious outlaw gangs.
Fact 2. Notorious bank robbers.
The James Younger Gang quickly gained notoriety following the war as ruthless bank robbers, their audacity capturing public attention. Their first recorded bank heist was in 1866 at the Clay County Savings Association in Liberty, Missouri, where they made off with approximately $60,000, a staggering amount for that era. Notably, they pioneered the technique of disabling telegraph lines before a robbery to delay any immediate response by law enforcement. Furthermore, their exploits were fueled by a sense of revenge against the Union, targeting banks and trains owned by Northern capitalists, whom they blamed for their post-war woes. They strategically exploited the divided loyalties in their home state, often finding shelter among sympathetic Missourians. Their brazen acts, combined with their cunning strategies, made the James Younger Gang the most formidable band of bank robbers in the post-Civil War period.
Fact 3. Masterminds of multiple crimes.
Not content with bank heists, the James Younger Gang expanded their criminal activities, casting a wider net of fear and mayhem. They orchestrated daring train robberies, starting in 1873 with their infamous raid on the Rock Island Railroad. Their audacious crimes extended to stagecoach holdups, adding to their notorious reputation. On December 8, 1874, the gang audaciously robbed a train on the Kansas Pacific Railroad near Muncie, Kansas, marking one of their most successful heists with a staggering haul of $30,000. With each successful heist, the legend of the James Younger Gang grew, their exploits recounted in awed whispers and sensational newspaper headlines. Despite the mounting pressure from law enforcement, their cunning strategies kept them at large, enhancing their image as elusive and fearless outlaws.
Fact 4. Public perception.
The public perception of the James Younger Gang was a mix of fear, fascination, and for some, a strange form of admiration. Their exploits during the post-Civil War era, in what was perceived as defiance against the establishment, granted them a rebel allure, almost like outlaw folk heroes. This was further fueled by the sensationalist media of the time that often painted them as daring and audacious figures, romanticizing their acts of crime. Interestingly, the gang members were known to be courteous during their heists, never harming bystanders unless necessary, which only deepened the paradoxical perception of them. However, this image began to falter as their crimes escalated, causing harm and disrupting peace. Public sentiment started to turn, signaling the beginning of their downfall.
Fact 5. Great Northfield Minnesota Raid.
The Great Northfield Minnesota Raid of 1876 marked a critical turning point for the James Younger Gang. In an audacious move, the gang attempted to rob the First National Bank of Northfield, expecting an easy haul. However, the alert citizens of Northfield, recognizing the danger, fought back fiercely, a testament to the spirit of frontier resilience. In the ensuing gunfire, 2 gang members were killed, while the rest of the gang were injured, their escape hindered by their injuries and the pursuit of a robust citizen posse. This fateful raid not only marked the gang's first major failure, but also resulted in the capture of the younger brothers. The disastrous aftermath of the Northfield Raid began to signal the end of the notorious James Younger gang.
Fact 6. End of the outlaw life.
The aftermath of the Northfield Raid saw the Younger brothers sentenced to life imprisonment, leaving only Jesse and Frank James at large. They tried to revive their outlaw ways with new recruits, but the dynamic of the original gang was irreplaceable. The authorities' relentless pursuit finally paid off in 1882, when Jesse James was shot and killed by Robert Ford, a new recruit hoping for a reward. Frank James, on the other hand, decided to surrender and surprisingly was acquitted after a series of trials. Thus, the saga of the James Younger gang came to an end. From Civil War guerrillas to infamous outlaws, their path of violence and defiance finally led to their downfall. Their story remains etched in history, a sobering reminder of the lawless days of the Wild West. The path that led the James Younger gang into infamy was forged by the turmoil of the Civil War, notably the brutal border wars, economic hardship, and their personal traits and inclinations. Their ruthless tactics, combined with the lingering rebel image they cultivated, was an embodiment of rebellion against the rapidly changing economic and societal norms. However, it was this very audaciousness, under the press of changing times, that heralded their downfall, marking the end of an era in the annals of American outlaw history.
We hope you've enjoyed the video and encourage you to share your thoughts, additional facts, or any fascinating stories about the topic in the comments below. Thank you for joining us on this captivating voyage into the world of hushed histories.